Inside Huntsville with Brenda Martin, a conversation with department heads at City Hall on streets, ball fields, public safety, and more. And also with our community partners that add economic security, support education, and enhance the city's quality of life.
Hello, I'm Brenda Martin with Inside Huntsville, and thanks for joining me today. The Huntsville Literary Association is dedicated to promoting and encouraging the literary arts in the Alabama-Tennessee Valley area. HLA offers something for everyone who enjoys the stimulation and creativity offered through readings by authors, poetry, and plays. Founded in 1967, today's organization sponsors a spectrum of activities. Here today to talk more about those activities is Carol Roach and Ann Martin. Welcome, ladies, and thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda.
Well, Ann, what is your role in the association, and how did you become involved in it?
Well, since I started writing for the Huntsville Times back in the 1980s, I covered Huntsville Literary Association, and I became a member because they did so many wonderful things, particularly the Young Writers Contest. I've served as a judge and as chair of the contest, and after a few years away from it, Carol convinced me to get back here with it.
You couldn't stay away, right?
It's a wonderful chance for young people to express their creativity.
That's great. Carol, how about you? How long have you been involved in this wonderful activity?
Well, much longer than Anne Marie.
Okay.
I first went to the University of Alabama in Huntsville to teach the speech courses.
Where you were my professor, now that I think about it.
Yes, ma'am. So that was way back in 1967. So that means that I was urged to become a member by the chair of the department, of course.
Sure.
But HLA, as you said, was founded in 1967. So I came in just a year later after it had been organized. And that means in 2017, we're celebrating 50 years as an organization. So
wonderful.
50 years, so that's a longevity we're very proud of.
Absolutely. And what are some of the major projects of the association?
Well, we've got a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
We have poetry groups where people get together and write poetry. We have fiction writing groups. We have regular Sunday salons where we highlight talented local writers, but we also bring in wonderful speakers from around the region and across the nation. But two of our biggest things are the Young Writers Contest and our Shakespeare program. We bring in a touring Shakespeare company every February. They perform out at UAH, so we're bringing live theater to the Tennessee Valley. Really brings Shakespeare to life for students and adults alike.
Now, how can people find out about that?
Well, on the Huntsville Literary Association's website, we have information about that. And as we get closer to time for that, we'll have more publicity out in their usual areas like WLRH and all the wonderful places that support WLRH.
Sure.
And Brenda, I'd like to add that in addition to our brochure and all these wonderful things Anne Marie's just talked about, we're also active in the community. We had our membership party at the Whedon House this October, I guess it was. No, it was September.
Yes.
I guess it was September this year. And also, a couple of years ago, we participated in the art stroll at the Whedon House, and we had someone reading inside. I believe it was Mark Lacey, and other members that were reading outside the Whedon House.
Carol, as you mentioned, the HLA has been around a long time.
Right.
Give us a little history on that.
Well, I'm delighted to do that.
Okay.
The first people who were really very active members were Robert Welker, who was chair of the English department, Herb Francis, who was a novelist and a member of the English department, and Jessie Broyles, who's a community person. And she came to Huntsville with her engineering husband and thought, what's for us in this community? And so she's considered the mother of HLA, and she's the mother of Frank Broyles. You may know Frank.
Oh, yes, exactly. Okay, how wonderful.
So when I first got started, I was very much involved in the Shakespeare program. As Anne Marie was talking about, the shows of this year are Romeo and Juliet, Two Gentlemen of Verona, and Our Town by Thornton Wilder.
Oh, those
So
sound
I fell in
wonderful.
love with, the Shakespeare component, and we've had several traveling troops during my history. Started out with the Alabama Shakespeare Company. Then we went to North Carolina, and now we're with the Shakespeare Center on tour. But then I went to the Young Writers Contest because I believe I told you the last time you were so nice to host us that we had a Panoply weekend, and we also had our Young Writers Contest award ceremony at the same time. So at the pagoda, we had a cake, and we had all the audience, people around us, the pagoda, and it was just wonderful. So I sort of fell in love with the Young Writers Contest that time.
You get real excited when you're talking. I see your eyes light up, and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the Young Writers Contest, talk a little bit about that.
Okay, the Young Writers Contest is something that we do every spring. It starts February the 1st.
Okay.
And we contact the teachers and let them know. And you have from our website, we've just updated for 2017. And so we'll send them that announcement that's called Save the Date. February the 1st is the day the students can enter the contest, and the deadline this year is going to be March the 20th.
Okay.
But the Young Writers Contest has progressed, and this year, for the very first time, we're doing electronic concept, the junior poetry and short stories. And that is something that our late President Mari Zimmerman, who's now deceased,
Yes.
That's something she very much wanted us to do.
And what is that now?
Well, what happens is we started out, of course, these paper and pencil note index cards that the students would send with their entries. With their teachers would send them, and now we've have advanced sort of in the world with technology, and we have a website, and students do submit their short stories and poems through the website.
Okay. Yes.
And they're judged by people who very often read off the computer rather than the hard copy.
Okay, sure. So it's okay to send their information via the website, etc.
So we hope we're trying to catch up with all the new developments that the students already know about.
Exactly. And would you like to add something to that?
It's very important. As a professional writer myself, I understand that it's very important for young writers to have constructive feedback on their work. It gives them confidence to push harder, and also lets them know where they need to work to improve. So a contest like this is really important to encourage that spark of creativity, the storytelling, the expression of emotion in poetry. It's really important for young people to know how to express themselves and to be encouraged to show their voice.
Yes, yes.
And to share it with the community.
Exactly. Well, now, who's eligible for the Young Writers Contest?
All students in local public and private schools, as well as homeschooled, within Madison County.
Okay. Within Madison County.
Yes.
So we do Huntsville City, Madison County, private schools, and homeschools.
Okay.
Grades 1 through 12.
And how many students do you average per year?
Let's see, I believe last year we had 550 entries.
And what do you do with the 550 entries?
Okay, we actually have divisions. We have elementary poetry, upper elementary and lower elementary and upper elementary. Okay. Then we have the juniors, the short stories. They do short stories as well as poetry. And then the seniors do short stories and poetry. And we just added an art component. So the artwork, I believe you have a copy of our program from last year. The artwork is on the front and on the back, of our awards.
And on the back.
Brochure.
We'll definitely have to have that up. Now, this really seems like a great opportunity for our community to get involved with. Do you need sponsors, or do you have sponsors?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. We actually were so pleased to have and so grateful to have these sponsors. We've had the Arts Huntsville actually they administrate the city TAC grant. And we received that from the Arts Council. We received from the State Arts Council, we received a grant, also from the Colsa Corporation.
Colsa?
Colsa Corporation, and the Redstone Women's Group. So that we were very, very pleased to receive those.
So you have no need for any more sponsors, or
Always need more
Okay.
sponsors.
Okay.
We're so happy to have the ones that we have, but anyone who wants to get involved, that'll help us to make it bigger and better.
okay? And how would they do that? How would
Go on our website, hlahsv.org, and contact us through that.
through your website?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Because I'm sure that there are a number of organizations that would certainly be interested in sponsoring, this wonderful activity. Now, give us an idea of the process. What
Okay.
happens? You've got 550 entries. What happens with that?
Okay, I'll tell you how we used to do it. We started it in 1968, excuse me.
Okay.
All right. What happened was the student would submit, they would submit in writing or typed. They would submit a hard copy, and they would attach an index card with all the information on it. And their teachers would mail all those in a big envelope to the cataloger. And each division has a cataloger, and she most of the time, or he, would receive it. And then they would judge it anonymously. They'd take the index card and put it in one place and put a number on it, put that number on the entry, and so that it would be judged anonymously. So we did all the divisions that way for years and years. And then we were persuaded that we should start doing seniors electronically, and now we're doing the juniors electronically. So there are the cataloger of that is Linda Fletcher. She is the wife of Bob Fletcher, who's our webmaster. And she actually takes care of giving the numbers, and so we don't have people sitting at home like we used to do, except for elementary. We don't have people sitting at home separating the index card from the hard copy. It's done electronically.
Okay.
It's wonderful. Marvelous.
So you enjoyed the new process then.
Yes.
So I was going to ask you what would be some of the changes the organization has gone through, and that's one. Can you think of some others?
Well, let's see. Our organization is composed of course, the traditional president and the vice president for programs, the vice president for membership, the secretary, treasurer, the secretary of the treasurer, etc. We have always had an executive board of 20 members and an advisory board of 20 members, and the executive board meets every month, and the advisory board is invited, but they're just mostly there to advise us.
Okay.
And so that's essentially, we have the same composition that we've had all these years. But there's so much more electronically available to us now than there was. And so we're trying to, we have the website, and Bob Fletcher does a great job with that, and we're trying to keep that updated, because I know sometimes when you go on a website, it's been 3 or 4 years before anybody's touched it.
Okay.
And we try to keep us up to date.
Up to date,
Yeah.
sure. What kind of feedback, I'm interested to find out, what kind of feedback do you get from the teachers? What are you hearing from them in terms of how excited they are about the results of their students?
Well, I can tell you this year, the most exciting thing happened. One young woman who had written a short story, she's a senior, she was not able to come because she was in a competition outside the state, and her teacher came and read her short story for us.
Is that right?
And her teacher wrote me a lovely feedback letter about, her teacher's heart was just so engrossed in the process and so excited about what was going on creatively, with her student. And actually, Beth Timms, who is our publicist,
Yes.
actually went to the school and interviewed this teacher and interviewed the student and had something on AOL about that. So.
Okay, Ann?
It's I know in the past when I was a judge, I talked to some of the teachers, and they were always so glad to have that outside critique of their students' work. You know,
yes.
they give their students grades, but to have a critique at a higher level from other professional writers and editors, it gives the students a little bit of an idea of what it would be like in the real world for a writer.
Well, let's
whether a
talk
poet.
about that. And you've been in the real world as a writer. What's it like? And I'm sure you can share with the students so many exciting.
Well, you're always trying to advance your art.
Okay.
You look at other writers, what they do, you write yourself, you share it with other people, and for a contest like this where you can share it with people who have a lot more experience than you do and get that feedback, that is really invaluable for a writer to be able to grow as a writer. You have to get constructive feedback from people who are better than you if you want to be better.
If you want to improve, sure.
Yeah, that if you want to be that artist, to be able to express yourself, tell your stories, you have to keep taking it to a higher level, and this contest helps students do that.
I love the way you express writing as an art.
Well, it is. It's
That's
all
exactly
about,
what it is.
We are all made of stories, and some of the stories that have come out of this that I've read over the years, of course I haven't even begun to read all of them, but it's really amazing the level of thought and emotion and expression that goes into these short stories, these poems, and I think it empowers students to give them this opportunity to express themselves.
How did you start out? When was it in your life that you decided, I want to be a writer?
I was a reader first.
Okay.
You got to be a reader. I mean, I fell in love with books and the stories. I mean, I could meet people from all over the world inside the pages of a book,
Sure.
even though I couldn't go beyond my little small hometown. And you know, in Huntsville, we have people coming in here from all over the world, but still, you can meet people from even farther afield through reading.
Exactly.
And through, you know, you understand what people think, their experiences through reading their poetry, through reading their short stories. And when students can do that themselves, it broadens their horizons and just helps them to be, I think, better human beings and better citizens of our city and state and nation.
How would you encourage a young person to continue to read? Reading is important, no matter what area you go into.
Indeed.
But there are some that struggle with reading.
And find something that you love.
Okay.
Read about things that you love. Start there and then grow out. You know, push yourself a little bit. But, you know, we're all passionate about different things.
Sure.
And read about that. And try to read, you know, people who are acclaimed in writing about those things.
Good.
You know, whether you're reading about sports, you know, football.
Yes, yes.
Or, you know, you're reading about an explorer climbing the Himalayas. Whatever you're reading about,
whatever you're passionate about, right?
find that passion and read about it.
Good
because
point.
you could experience it
Good
that way.
point.
And that's what we try to do at Huntsville Literary Association. You know, when we bring a writer into town who's written about something fascinating, to be able to actually meet that author and talk to them. And for both young people and for adults who are writing, to be able to talk to professional writers and get some feedback from them. You know, what do you do? How do you do it? It inspires.
Thank you for that, for sharing that. My producer is telling me I'm running out of time, but there's something I want to ask the both of you. What continues to motivate you to be a part of HLA?
I think, of course, I've been in HLA so long.
Okay.
It's part of my lifeblood right now. But I love being around young people.
Yes.
I like that about teaching the university, you know, in the university setting. And
yes.
although I had a daughter who said, I need to tell this quickly, who said, I don't want to go to the same place every day and work with the same people. And I said, I did that, but we were on the term system when I was teaching, and so the students rotated every 10 weeks. I saw new students every 10 weeks in all of my classes. So that's an exciting part about it.
How about you, Ann?
Yeah, it's it's a wonderful organization. It really is. Like I said, I wrote about it when I was at the paper, and I found out what a great job they did. And I'd like to encourage everyone in Huntsville to think about becoming a member of HLA. If you like to read, if you like to talk about what you read, we have a place for you. We're looking for people of all ages, from all walks of life, to be part of our story.
That's good to know, no matter how old you are.
That's right.
There's a place for you
There
in
is a
HLA.
place for you in HLA.
That's great. That is great.
Very modest fees.
Yes,
Okay.
very modest.
Okay. Carol and Ann, thank you so much for all that you do for the Huntsville Literary Association, first of all. And I love your excitement.
Well,
I love your excitement. So it's great to have you on talking about it.
There's just so many great things about HLA, you can't not be excited. And thank you so much,
you, Brenda,
for helping us to get the word out about this wonderful
Oh,
organization.
you're welcome.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Brenda.
My guests today have been Carol Roach and Anne Marie Martin with the Huntsville Literary Association, talking about the upcoming Young Writers Contest. We hope you will support them. That's my show for today. I'm Brenda Martin for Inside Huntsville, a great place to live, work, and play.